not a Yankees town, not a Giants town. And I think what America's seeing right now is that New York is a Knicks town.
Welcome back to the OGs of Playmaker Original presented by DraftKings. And we have a very special guest in the building today. A lot of people don't know, when me and Mike talked about doing podcasts, we didn't want to do athletes originally. You know, we wanted to kind of stay away from athletes. We understood, we know sports. Like, we can talk about sports all day. So this is a very special opportunity for us. He built a $60 million wine business, serial entrepreneur, investor who bet on Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter early. He runs a media empire. I'm not even gonna bring that Jets stuff yet. We're gonna go for the Jet stuff. Gary V in the building, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, my man.
Thank you,
my man. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So, I mean, we got a lot to cover, so this is very exciting for me. I very rarely have people on that I can learn something from. I mean, we have a lot of athletes on. Athletes can't tell me shit. I did it all my life. I know a lot about that. But for me, obviously, being born in the Soviet Union, you know, what was life like? Because I know where I'm from. I'm from Liberty City. We think we got it rough. Yeah, tell me what rough really is.
You know what's funny is I think about that a lot. Because I grew up, so I moved to the States when I was 3.5, 4. So I didn't really live in the my parents lived in either. But when we came to America, we were broke. You know, I lived in a studio apartment with 5, 6 family members in Queens. And then I grew up in Edison, New Jersey, went to Martin Luther King Elementary School. And then I was a terrible student and went to a straight up hood college, Mount Ida College, where all my boys were on financial aid, came from the hood. And I was just telling you off camera, one of my boys just turned 50, grew up in Brockton, like real shit. And it was funny growing up in that culture, and I was a Jersey boy, East Coast 80s, 90s. Urban culture was getting so cool. You know, having my Adidas with no laces in 6th grade was the apex of my life. And because of the stories my parents told, my parents didn't have, both my parents grew up in a house that didn't have a bathroom in the house.
Wow.
Like they had to go to the outhouse. Like the Soviet Union in the 50s, 60s, 70s was like America in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And then my parents raised, and I was the oldest from the old country. I have 2 siblings that were younger. What I got brought up with was a real framework of just being grateful for what we had.
Yes, sir.
Versus being envious for what you don't have. As you know, especially growing up in sports, your situation I know enough because I'm a big sports fan. I know a lot. You know, a lot of guys grow up with so little.
Yes.
And there's only 2 things that happen when you grow up so little. You either become grateful for what you have and become hungry and ambitious, or you become cynical and you get up and you get angry and you let jealousy and envy become your fuel.
Yes.
So I got lucky in that I wasn't jealous when on Christmas all my friends around me got more, because even as my family was growing out of poverty into a middle-class life through my childhood, my mom kept it real poor.
Yeah.
She didn't buy, like my mom wasn't in the business of buying. Money was for food, even clothes. My dad worked at a liquor store. From 2nd to 8th grade, every t-shirt I had was Hennessy, Budweiser. like we didn't buy clothes. We definitely didn't buy soda because my dad got it from the liquor store. Like we just didn't spend money. So real quick, by the time I was 7, 8, if I wanted toys, and then definitely by 6th grade when Nintendo came out, video games, my mom was on some gangster shit of like, yeah, on your birthday, maybe I'll get you a little something. I did not get toys in my childhood outside of my birthday or Hanukkah. It just did not happen. And so it made me hungry. I I started selling lemonade when it snowed. Instead of making a snowman, I was like, grab a shovel, get $3, get $5.
Hell yeah.
And so it was obviously how my life has turned out. I was entrepreneur from the get. It was written. But I put in the reps as a kid because of my circumstance. My son is an entrepreneur. I can see it in him. But he's not, he's sitting courtside at a Knicks playoff game.
Yeah.
My first Knicks game was the last row in the arena.
Yes.
You know, going crazy for Bernard King. Last row.
Wow.
So, you know, people that are listening, of course it's nature nurture. Of course we all got our DNA. And then we got who were our parents, what was the circumstance, what was the neighborhood. When I think about my success, I think about first my mom. She built me on some real shit, you know what I mean? Like she really built me like that.
Respect.
Next, the next place, and then of course my father too, but he came later. I'll get to that in a minute. But the next place I go to why I got to where I got to is Edison, New Jersey.
Wow.
I believe the terroir, I grew up in the wine business.
Okay.
There's a term called terroir.
Terroir.
It means like where the wine comes from, but it's not just location. It's like bigger than that. It's like religion. It's like the bees that buzz around there.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the fact that there was a factory and the smoke, like the whole essence of the place, not just the physical location. I credit the terroir of the 80s in New Jersey as making me, because how old are you?
45.
Perfect. I'm 49.
About to be 45.
Respect,
44 right now. I'll be 45.
Hold it. You know, we grew up in those 80s, early 90s, like, you know, the reason so many kids talk so much these days is because people don't fight like they used to.
Yeah, I tell my son that all the time. He talk a lot of shit. I said, boy, you gotta learn to fight. My son always talking shit.
It's real. These kids are keyboard warriors on Twitter because there's no ramifications. I used to walk the hallway. You look twice before you said something about someone, because if you said something about someone and they saw it, it was flagpole after, like, in fourth grade in my school, we were like UFC and Don King. There was pay-per-view every second day after school flagpole. Like,
Listen, when you said it was named Martin Luther King, I already knew what time it was. I knew what time. Listen, only Martin Luther Kings is in the hood. Ain't no Martin Luther Kings in Beverly Hills and none of that. When you said Martin Luther King school, I was like, yeah, okay. Every black city got Martin Luther King.
And I'll tell you where I got real lucky. My Martin Luther King, yes, Martin Luther King schools are where they were at. But we had some real diversity. I found my second grade picture. I didn't even remember. You know, you got that lower class white kid, but we had Asian kids, we had Indian kids, we had black kids. Later when I got older, I think, again, it's in me because I love people to get along with people. But in hindsight, I got lucky. Like when I went over to my friend Brian Chen's house, I got exposed to that Asian culture. You know, when I went over to my friend Rashid's house, like his mom was he was half black, half Indian. Like when I look back, I'm like, oh, I got real lucky.
Yeah.
And then my parents really tipped it off. And in high school, I moved to rural New Jersey. Like straight hunting. Like first day of eighth grade, I moved in eighth grade, right before high school. It was like the 9th day of school. I walked in, there was not a single boy in school.
Wow.
I was like, yo, what's up with this Hickville? Boys don't have to come on Fridays? My homeroom teacher said, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm confused. Where are the guys? Because the girls were there. He's like, bro, it's the first day of hunting season.
Oh,
I was like, what? Because Edison didn't have no rifles and deer. And So I just got very fortunate in how I grew up. How do I think about the Soviet Union? How do I think about my childhood? Adversity is the foundation of success.
wow.
That's how I think about it.
I love that. Adversity is the foundation of success. And you talked about the hustling. You said you would shovel snow, lemonade,
trading
baseball
cards, blow pops,
all that.
We all know.
Yeah.
Bracelet, anything that could, because, you know, you can't be hungry when you're fed.
Yeah. Can't be hungry when you're fed. Like that.
Right?
Can't be hungry when you're fed. Love it. It's a bar.
When you're not.
Can't be hungry when you're fed. You
That's real.
At home, always whining and complaining. You can't be hungry when you're fed.
It's true. By the way, I don't even judge kids. Like, I don't judge it. It's their reality.
Yes.
In fact, I admire the out of rich kids that go hard. I actually think they got a different gear altogether. Those kids, for kids like you and I who built our we got judgment for those kids.
Yes.
Born on third base, all that. But in real talk, as I'm getting older, I'm like, damn, man, I actually in a weird way respect those kids that go hard because it's almost like they're playing a game they can't win regardless. You imagine, listen, you and I have lived our lives.
Yes.
I'm sure of it that both of us will confirm to all these kids watching right now, we're grateful that we were in our spot because we were too competitive and hungry that if we were our kids and people could take away from us on some just semantics, that would hurt.
Yes.
I worked too hard for to be taken away from me. And now that I've lived a little bit, I've watched kids that had a lot, that really worked like that really fought off, that really tried. I mean, I see it in my own children. They're the only two that don't really fuck with Gary Vee like that. They're trying to be on their own 2 feet. I respect it. I respect it. I've seen kids change their last names. I've seen kids when I was growing up, I had so little, I was like, man, why are you doing that? You're so lucky. In reality, if you're a winner, the last thing you want to do is be put in a position where your work is undermined because of where you started.
You just made a great point because you said, your 2 kids and everybody with Gary Vee besides your 2 kids. And it's the same thing with me. I got 3 boys and it's like, I feel like I'm the coolest dad in the world. Like I'm cool dad. Like who if I can't give you advice, who can you go to for advice? I've seen everything but the win.
Yeah.
But it seems like my kids kind of fight that. But the point that you made, now it makes sense to me. It's like they want to create their own lane. They want to create their own path. They want to do their own thing. So I'm sitting here being selfish, thinking like, how the f you ain't gonna who better to listen to than me? But in their mind, it's like we just want to do it our way. We want to create our own lane, our own path.
My big thing is when I see other people I admire that are speaking similar songs. That's because your boys will listen to me quicker.
Yes.
Even if we're saying the same with slightly different words.
This shit is crazy.
Yeah, it's the flight of man. And, it's just like it is what it is. And then they really come around as they get older. Yeah. You and I have the luxury of being middle-aged at this point. We appreciate things about our parents, our uncles, our grandparents that we couldn't comprehend when we were 13, 15, because we didn't know the score.
Yes.
Back to sports analogy. These 4 teams right now, right?
Wow. Yes.
They've watched the finals. They've had success at other levels, a lot of these kids, right? But until you're in game 6 of the NBA finals, places you've been, where 13 seconds left, you don't know until you know.
Yes.
Right? You that adage of I really don't think someone really knows themselves until adversity hits. Someone once said to me on a business trip when I was a kid, it was real deep. It's crazy. How old was I? 20. This happened 25 years ago. It pierced my soul. I was 25. I had just started running my family business 3 years earlier and completely blew it up. Changed my family's life.
Yes.
Was building it for my family too, doing it right. I was one of those rare breeds where I was putting my dad on more than he was putting me on. I was feeling myself. I was feeling like the man because I was really built, I'm talking about of the family.
Yes.
Because I'm building the business that we're eating on and I'm working the 100 hours a week. But I wasn't flexing or anything. I was just listening to a different story. But I'm giving you my mindset when this was said. It struck me to the core. This man who was 48 at the time in business said, some nonchalant, everyone just talking over dinner, over wine. He said, a man does not become a man until his dad dies. And I never forgot it. And I'm very fortunate, I'm very grateful that I'm not in that position yet. Pops just spoke to him 15 minutes ago, complaining about some dumb shit like he always likes to, my dad is a gangster. But it really struck me. And I think for a lot of people listening, my biggest observation to the audience that listens to this podcast is the reason I pump all the content I put out there is I think we're not grateful enough, and I think we're soft. Wow. And I mean it. I think we complain about dumb. For example,
preaches to the choir.
I just was working on something on the flight down here from New York. I'm on the board of something called Charity Water. We build wells for fresh water in Africa and parts of Asia. as we all are chilling right now, all of you behind the scenes and you and I right now, 800 million people on Earth, 10%. There's 8 billion people on Earth. 800 million people on Earth do not have access to clean water. Wow. That means they can't get to clean water within 6 hours. And the way they get there, by the way, in most of those tribes, is the woman puts a bucket on her head that would make most athletes in the NBA struggle to carry on their head for an hour, and she walks 7 or 8 hours with it, fills it with water, and then brings it back.
Wow.
And we're out here complaining that our Instagram following isn't going up. Or why don't I have a Lambo? Or why can't I get into 11? People crying about dumbass.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that for the men and for the ladies, but for the men here, stop acting tough until A, you got punched in the mouth and figured out who the you were, and B, when all the responsibility of your family's on your chest.
Man.
And I think we need to get our perspectives right. That's what drives me. That's why I am not silent and just building my businesses. That's why daily I am putting out videos and putting out stuff, because I want to contribute in a positive way to the conversation. And I think most of the that's out there is nonsense.
Right. I want to rewind because you talked about, the business and building your dad's business and, where you started into where it was. But you visualize YouTube as an outlet to build a business. And you were ahead of the game with that. Talk about that. And also piggybacking on what you said, because, they say a man doesn't become a man until you lose your father, which is crazy because I thought I was a man until I actually lost my father. But when I lost my father, it was at that point I realized in my life I knew everything to do. I wasn't confused. I wasn't lost. I wasn't, concerned. I literally knew exactly what my job was. I knew what I had to do. I understood my responsibilities. It was no lacking when my father passed away.
How old were
you? I'm 44 now. My father passed away. I was 41, 3 years ago.
Sorry.
So I've lost my mother. I lost my stepmother. I lost my father. So these are losses and all through cancer. But for me, the crazy thing is everything was different until I lost my father. When I lost my father, I think everything caught up with me at once. And that's when I had to reach out and, I had to do my therapy thing and just, really, really get that balance and find myself. But that was part of being a man
100%.
And growing up. And then all of a sudden, like I said, I'm looking around and I was not confused about what I needed to do next. You know what I'm saying? So he prepared me for that. And I was the man that he prepared me to be. So you're absolutely spot on from that. But
basketball fans, it's win or go home time. The NBA Conference Championships are here and the intensity is off the charts. Every possession matters, and there's still time to get in on the action with my partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Here's the deal. New customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll score $300 in bonus bets. That's right. Pick your side, place your bet, and get ready to cash in. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up using code OGs. The crown is yours. Stay in on the action and use your $300 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. If sports betting is not available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Pick 6 and have the shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code OGs and bet just $5 on any wager and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's promo code OGs only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
my life is all I have.
We
My
are
pen,
the
my
OGs, and we love the possibilities of making money. Yeah, UD, I know you grew up skating. So right now on DraftKings, this is our segment, the NHL Futures, presented by DraftKings. Again, I know you're a big hockey guy. I've known you since you're 16.
You trying to be funny because we didn't have a hockey team then.
I'm
everything Florida, and once the Panthers came to South Florida, I was all in. It doesn't matter if I never ice skated, if I know about hockey. I know they're a Florida team, and I'm loyal to the soil, so I'm on the team.
All right, so here's what I'm going to say then. To you guys at home, there's a huge possibility of making money at DraftKings right now, and I'm looking at the odds. I don't know if I'd listen to UD at this point because I know who he's going with. I've done some due diligence. I've done my homework. He's just loyal to the soil. But looking at the odds, and I know you don't know nothing about odds.
So you know, and I don't. Is it because I'm a brother? Is it because I'm a brother that you going to assume?
It's got something to do with it, yeah. It got something to do with it.
At least you're honest, dog. You're probably right.
I grew up in South Dakota where hockey was a thing.
This is
You
true.
grew up in Florida where,
We
obviously the
barbecue
Panthers.
on Christmas. Know nothing but ice and snow.
So here we go. Florida Panthers are plus 230 to win the Stanley Cup. The Dallas Stars are plus 290 to win the Stanley Cup. Edmonton Oilers plus, what is that, plus 265? And the Carolina Hurricanes plus 320, which is good for you, by the way, UD, because the Panthers and the Hurricanes right now are going back and forth across the ice, and right now Florida is a pretty big favorite there.
Damn right you are.
So you got, obviously, and I don't even need to ask you, you're going with Florida Panthers to win the Stanley Cup.
You goddamn right. We got a hell of a goddamn goalie. Bobby. We got a hell of a goalie. We got Chuck, who will whoop your ass and score a goal. You goddamn right. You goddamn right. I'm going with the mother Panthers. And I love the coach. Just hard nose. Just don't even play that shit. Like, we going to beat your ass in the game, and we going to beat your ass on the court, on the goddamn ice. And afterwards, if we lose, you're going to be so beat up by the next game that you're going to want to quit. So we literally beat people's ass.
So,
and I'm going to tell you another thing, Killer, because since you don't think I don't know about hockey, this team went all the way to the championship 2 years ago and lost to Las Vegas. And what most teams do when they get to the championship, they bring back the same roster. The reason why I like this, and also I also know the assistant GM, shout out Brett Peterson. You ain't even know that.
Shout out Brett.
Shout out Brett.
Yeah.
See now, can you give me my props?
I mean,
I do know. I know about the
unbelievable.
Panthers. I might not know about every hockey team, but I know about the Panthers. This team 2 years ago lost, came back, did not run it back, made changes to their roster, came back and won it. I with this team.
So here's the deal. You sold me.
So you buying now?
Yeah.
You buying now?
Bobby.
And these motherfuckers was down 0-2 last and came back. And I was sitting in the TNT studios because, I got 79 jobs.
Yes.
And these guys was doing the hockey. And I don't know about hockey, but I just asked them, do you think my Florida Panthers got a chance?
Yeah.
And they told me no.
Ooh, it fired you up, didn't it?
That grind my gears.
You know, it really grinds my gears.
I went immediately to the sports betting app and doubled down.
DraftKings, we are coming for it. There's a potential of making money right now. UD just told you he doesn't know about it. I'm riding with you, dog. You sold me. I ain't gonna lie to you. And I'm a hockey savant.
Bobby. Goddamn right.
Go to DraftKings.
Code OGs.
At Code OGs, man. And that's how you thank us.
Cut
Code
us
OGs.
in or cut it out.
Cut us in or cut it out. Good luck. We'll talk to you later.
Just talk about how you visualize, YouTube being that outlet to build and grow.
In 2003, taking a step back, my dad had a local liquor store. He lived his American dream, had nothing, saved every dollar. I already told you my family didn't buy anything, so we could save. And then eventually my dad bought a small liquor store in Springfield, New Jersey. Immigrant life, I was 14. I started working there, stocking shelves. The shit you see at the gas stations, like immigrant shit. Built a nice business for himself, got to live, support our family with that. I came in and I knew, I like talking to athletes because I love sports so much, but I wasn't gifted physically that way. But mentally, I was gifted that way.
Yes.
And I knew. And when I say I knew at 14, 15, and this is before, you're in the same general age group as me, you know this. Businessmen weren't cool like that. That wasn't a cultural thing. Rappers, athletes.
Yes.
But being a businessman, that'd be like fine, but it wasn't like cool like it is now. Yes. But I knew that I was gonna be world class at business at that age. I knew it. And I grew up real immigrant. What I mean by that is immigrant kids really understand this more than hood kids. Immigrant kids understand you do it for your family. It's not even about you. So I grew up where I was like, my mom's the best of all time. She's just done so right by me. My father's worked his face off. I haven't even seen him like that. Bro, my father and I slept in the same house every night for the first 14 years of my life. I got 6 to 10 memories of him from 0 to 14. He woke up and left for work before I woke up, and he came home from work after I went to sleep 7 days a week, 7. So I had this crazy guilt and gratitude that I wanted to do right by them. So I decided, I remember calling my mom crying when I was 18. I was a grown boy, being like, Mom, I know that I'm destined for big shit, but first I'm gonna really build this business for Dad. Like I was like, I'm just gonna give up my 20s and build this business because I think I can, and I wanna give back to my family. So that's what I did. And in 1997, I launched one of the first e-commerce wine businesses in America, winelibrary.com. The internet was, that'd be like me telling you all, let's build AI robots and have them sell on Mars right now. That's how crazy the internet was in 96, 7, because it hadn't existed yet.
Yes.
And so like people were just like, what is that even? I did that from 1998 to 2003. I ran the business. In those 5 years, the business went from $3 million a year to $45 million a year. Wow. Completely changed my parents' life. I bought my car at 16. I bought it at a garage sale with my money for $580. Wow. That is the first car I had.
That's crazy.
My brother's 11 years younger than me. He got a brand new Lexus on his 17th birthday. That's how much our life changed in that decade. In 2003, I'm cooking, and I'm like, really building. And I go to my computer guy, as I called him. He was a developer. I go, yo, I want to make videos and put them on the internet. How do I do that? He's like, we have to host them, this and that. So he did the work. He came into my office like a day later. He's like, here's how much it would cost. I don't want to make this up because I want to keep it real, but I'll give you what it felt like. He said some shit like, if an hour is watched on our website, it's going to cost us $10,000 to host those videos. It was something I could not afford no matter what. Yeah. So that was it. It just got put on the side. I want to give him his flowers. His name's Eric Kastner with a K. He was my lead developer. 2 years later, I'm working on some. We sat closer than you and I are sitting. That's how small the office. Closer than you and I are sitting right now. We sat. He taps me. He goes, check out this site. It was YouTube. I go on it. I'm like, what is this? He goes, you remember the video thing? I was like, yeah. He goes, on this site, we can upload it and we can host it on the website and it'll cost free. They're taking on the costs. I'm like, bet. The next day, I call my brother. I'm like, this thing's gonna be crazy. He's a freshman in college. I'm like, you need to start a video show about the Jets. So he started, this is a fun fact, Stefan, you might not even know this. My brother AJ was actually the first vlogger. He did like 7 or 8 episodes of Jets TV.
Wow.
He did some videos.
Okay.
But it's not what
but you know.
Yeah, respect. But he didn't want to be about that world. He was more into like the business side. So he was done pretty quick. And I kept looking at YouTube. It was getting bigger, but it was all pirated in its first year. It was like South Park clips, Family Guy clips. Nobody was making original videos. Yeah. Then there was this guy named Zay Frank, Z-E space Frank. He was making videos. There was another show called Rocket Boom. I was like, there's something, this is gonna be something. So on February 21st, 2006, less than 9 months after, less than 9 months after YouTube came out, I made my first video of Wine Library TV, changed the course of my career.
Wow.
I knew, I wrote a book a couple years later called Crush It, my first book.
Yes.
If you were to read it today, it's crazy. I wrote that book in 2008, it came out in 2009. That book's 16 years old. Basically, I completely predicted content creators, influencers, making money on the internet. And at the time it came out, it did extremely well, but critics panned it for being not realistic. One news outlet said, this guy's such a snake oil salesman. He's trying to tell you that people are gonna make $100,000 a year on YouTube. LOL, LOL. It's
Who
crazy.
said that?
It's crazy.
Wait, yeah, nah.
And so, yeah, YouTube video. I always knew that video was gonna win. Video always wins, and I knew it would just be a matter of time before it was real on the internet back in the early 2000s, and YouTube came.
So as you go from wine media to venture capital and different things like that, like what's the bridge? Like what was the bridge
The
there?
bridge was that actual moment. 9 months later, or within that year, YouTube sells for $2 billion.
Oh.
$2 billion in 2007.
So 9 months after you posted your first video?
Yeah. About a year later, I don't want to get the timing wrong, somewhere quick.
Okay.
I think it was the next year, YouTube sells to Google for $2.1 billion. Again, I want the kids that are listening right now to understand, $2.1 billion in 07.
God damn.
I would argue would be like a $100 billion, maybe even $500 billion deal today. Numbers were different. We didn't print all that money during COVID. The world was different. Everyone's shook. I read an article in the Wall Street Journal, and in there, it's the first time I'd ever seen the term. It was writing the article of YouTube, this incredible exit, and then it said, angel investor Ron Conway is set to make XYZ amount of money on his $100,000, or I don't remember the number, $50,000 angel investment. I was like, what's an angel
Yeah, I was
investment?
just going to ask what the
So
fuck
I
is
went
that?
to Google.
Okay.
I typed in angel investment. I read it. And I remember because it was one of those moments that you'll always remember in your life. I remember I had the big ass computer screen and I'm reading it. And you know how you can like see your reflection in your screen with the right lighting? I remember reading it. And then I looked in the screen and looked at myself and I said, you're going to be an angel investor. And I promised myself, because at that point, when YouTube sold like that, I was like, man, I got some sort of gift and I'm not making paper on it. I was right about email. I was right about the web. I was right about Google AdWords. And now I'm right about YouTube. I'm good at seeing. I said, I'm going to promise myself the next time I feel that I'm going to angel invest, because I had a little bit of savings. About 6 months later, I had that feeling. I saw a new startup and I was like, this is it. And I wrote my first angel check, and that was Twitter.
So just for the people at home, angel investor is
Is when you're investing early. You're the angels. You're basically the first money's in before there's institutional venture capital money. You're the $50,000 and $100,000 smaller checks just to get someone off the ground. Later, they'll go for a Series A, a venture capital round.
okay. So a question.
It's high. I mean, listen, Facebook, Twitter.
Yes.
I really, really won. There was others who, Uber, I really lost and really won. Snapchat, there was a lot of wins, but 98% were losses. Like, don't get excited about angel investing if you don't have paper like that.
Wow.
Like 98% are losses.
I don't think people understand that.
That's why do you think I'm taking this moment to break it down?
I don't think people understood that part of it.
You know what I mean? Like,
they didn't get that part of it. I'm happy you told them that.
The reason it works is when you hit, you hit. When you're making 3,000 times your investment back,
Yes.
you can lose a lot. So, but it is, I wouldn't call it gambling. I would call it extremely high risk investing. My last point on this, and we'll bounce, I still do angel investing, but now I only invest if I like both the jockey and the horse.
Oh,
I used to do it if I liked the horse. The horse I
Okay.
call the idea.
okay.
If I liked the idea back in 06, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, probably into 13, I would invest.
Okay.
The mistake I was making was I didn't realize, I would look at something and be like, oh, I know what to do with this. I'll build it big. But when you're putting money and you're not in control, now I gotta like the jockey too. I need to like her or him. I'm like, does she have the stomach for it?
Yes.
Now I'm analyzing the person. Because I got caught on all those Harvard kids. All those Ivy League kids came
point.
with good ideas, but they got fed. They got to Harvard because grandpa made a donation. They got to Harvard because they're a great student, but being a great student doesn't mean you're a great entrepreneur. So I had to learn those lessons in my 30s and 40s.
Great point. Great point. I asked about the Uber because it was like, because I do my research. So obviously I do my research when you came on. It's conflicting stories. You lost, you won. Like
I lost. It's not conflicting. I lost and won. In my first book I just mentioned, Crush It. It's your first book. You're acknowledging the most important people in your life in the first page. The only people I acknowledge is my family and then one random ass dude, Travis Kalanick, who was the co-founder and CEO of Uber. Travis was in between companies when I wrote Crush It, and I sent him a early copy, and he really helped me with it because he was just chilling. He actually Garrett Camp, the founder of a company called Stumble Upon, is actually the gentleman that came up with the idea of Uber. It was originally called Uber Cab. I was actually in the room in Paris when he literally pitched the idea for the first time.
Wow.
Garrett was involved. They were looking for a CEO. It was a side project. This is real talk. Yep. 2 entrepreneurs that already made it, had an idea. They went out and found a third guy, Ryan Graves, a hustler kid, to run it because it was a side project because they were doing other shit. It started off real strong in San Francisco. Travis came in and decided to be the CEO because he saw it was going to be big. He asked me to invest. You know why I love this L so much?
Why?
Because it confirms one of my favorite sayings in life. Scared money don't make money.
Ooh, they say that everywhere. They say that in the business offices with the CEOs and in the hood at the dice game.
Bro.
They say that everywhere.
Bro, this moment is my watershed Statue of Liberty in a career that spans 30, 40 years if you count my kid hustle. The amount of times I played Scare Money was almost zero because I came from nothing, so I was never scared to go back.
I agree. I know that mentality.
But I bought my first big boy apartment in New York, and I had no liquid. I had just bought it. I was gonna have my second child, and I had no paper. I had a little bit, that immigrant little bit, like gotta have 100,000 in cash somewhere.
Got a little stash.
Like
got a little stash.
I was not with paper. So when Travis came and said, "I want you to invest in Uber," I was like, I'm gonna have to pass. To his credit, which is why I love him so much, he came back because we were boys. He came back 3, 4, 5 weeks later. He's like, "Bro, I was in San Francisco for a talk. I was in that grassy knoll. Every time I pass it by, I'm like, that spot." He's like, "Please be in." I was like, "I just can't." I said no twice. If I had written the normal $50,000 check that I was writing back then, $25.50, you're talking about 3, 4, 5, 600 million. Now, so I pass. About a year and a half later, or a year later, they were in their next Series A. Like I would have gotten in at like a 4 or 8, I don't remember the number, under $10 million valuation. About a year and a half later, I did invest. It might have been at 100 million or 80 million or 120 million. And I did well. I mean, I made millions and millions of dollars when it went IPO on a $100,000 investment. But, yeah, I mean, like, I'm grateful that I have a career that I can sit and talk about moments where I passed on it twice that would have resulted in, a $500 million in paper.
Lord have mercy.
And to me, like, on the other side, looking at all your reactions, I've been telling the story for a decade. I know how people react. I react too, but, it's like, this as an athlete. When you're in the arena, it's just next play.
Yes.
It's just like, you can hear the crowd booing.
Yes.
You can hear the announcers' takes. You can see the hot takes on, on the shows and the radio. But like, what am I gonna do? Cry?
I tell people
I'm
all the
still
time.
working. Like,
Can't miss what I never had.
And in a weird way, and I think people that get it will really get it on the other side of this podcast. I'm happy it didn't happen, not because I would have been any less hungry. It would have changed the complete foundation of my life.
Great point.
And I think in the butterfly effect, I'm like, not to make me feel better, but because of how I live, I'm like, okay, that would have happened, but then this would have happened, I'm in a world where I sit here today healthy and happy, I'm like, who knows? I might have had to go to Tokyo for a business meeting because of that, and maybe I wasn't paying attention crossing the street and got hit by a car. Like,
yeah.
I think for people to cry about spilled milk if they're in a decent spot is crazy because every little subtle decision changes the outcome of your life. And so, yeah, it's a super L. Yeah. I love it because it's on a thesis I believe in, and so I like losing on some truth,
Yeah.
And that's that. It's a L.
Nah, I'm with you. I can't miss what I never had. That's how I don't miss it. If I never had it, it wasn't mine. I never had it, so I can't miss it. But you said you go with your gut in these things, but you have Facebook, you have Snapchat, you have Coinbase, you have all these different things.
My gut's good as
I was just finna say, your guts are amazing, but how are you identifying these things? Are you sitting
Pattern
at home? You got a
recognition.
crystal ball? Is all this shit coming to you? Because I like to stay up till like 3
I'll tell
a.m.
you.
and when
I'll
everybody's sleeping. That's when I come
Same.
up with my crazy
Me too.
ideas.
Me
And
too.
that's when I call my business manager Sylvester and wake him the fuck up. And I'm like, Sylvester, I got it.
I'll
Like,
tell you how I do
come
it.
up?
Let me bring up something that it was funny you just brought up Sylvester, because when you just said I call him at 3 a.m., makes me think about how I talk to Mike Boyd, who's my music plug. What I do for a living in real life is I watch culture. Not just the culture, black culture, which is obviously the foundation of pop culture,
Yes.
but every culture. White boy culture, Korean girl culture, K-pop culture, Europe culture, Ibiza culture, all cultures.
Love Ibiza culture. By the way,
Yeah.
get that
So-
time there.
What I try to do, where I think all the secrets are, is by knowing everything. I mean everything.
Wow.
So I had something go viral recently. You know Doechii?
Yes.
So I discovered Doech super early. In fact, during COVID, I had Doechii on Zoom with all 1,000 of my employees at the time. And in that video, I said to her, I think you're gonna become a superstar. And for some reason, my brain said, and in fact, in 44 or 42, some weird number, 44, 42 months, the whole world's gonna know. My guy, literally 42 or 44, whatever number I said, months later, she did the Grammy performance that blew her up.
Wow.
Doechii and Facebook are the same to me. When I see something that makes sense to me that the world is gonna like it, the cronut, that little weird stuffed animal that all the girls are rocking right now.
Yeah.
Baggy pants instead of tight, like
Yes.
fashion. This brand, Siegelman Stables. Kith from
Yes.
afar. Palace from afar. A music act. A new restaurant. A fashion trend. Or a startup. It's all the same. To me, it's just almost like the Matrix. It's like ones and zeros. And my whole body just knows that America is gonna with this. And then that's when I start digging. So I'm out there just reading, watching, listening, you know, and I got people, Mike Boyd's like, yo, this new reggaeton artist, I really think he's gonna be about that. I'll go and listen to it. And if I get the goosebumps, then I know we need to like go. Like, I look at my DMs, I hit up Bad Bunny in 2016. I'm like, you got it. Like, I see it. And of course I'm wrong sometimes, but not often. because and definitely not the shit I say public, because who wants to be wrong? So I'm like you, that midnight, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, I don't know, once or twice a week, I'll just get into my zone and I'll be like, what are all the Euro drug head kids into right now? And I'll just go watch. Or I'll be like, what are all the Hispanic skateboarder kids in San Antonio right now that are like half into Wemby, but half into skateboard culture? Like, what are they with? Or like, what are the Hamptons girls like? What drinks are like? Is it going to be a spritz this year, or is it going to be rosé? I'm just curious as, but with intent.
Yes.
I'm not curious for the sake of being curious.
Yes.
I'm curious because I'm trying to make paper. I'm trying to build an empire, and so I'm curious because I know in that curiosity I will unlock, and then you just get into patterns. And you get into patterns. Why did I know Facebook was going to work? Because I watched Friendster happen 6 years earlier. I already knew social networks were coming. We just lived through MySpace. Tila Tequila was the most famous girl in the world for a few seconds.
Wow.
So I just knew it was coming, and then you look at Zucks, and I was like, this guy's different.
He is different. He is different. I have no problems with that. I mean, obviously, you know, if you have advice for obviously guys like myself or any guy that looks to bridge that gap, obviously, what would you say?
Mix up your circles. Get more, like what I like about the modern athlete, and your generation is the first one, and now the kids, you know this, you see the 18-year-olds. They're all so much more savvy than you guys were coming up.
Yes.
And they have you all to thank. Your crew, truly your draft class, the 3 before you, the 3 after. There was a maturity in your generation of not doing the same dumb shit that all the athletes before you came. The money was bigger,
Yes.
but the discipline was better.
Yes.
It was just different. I watched it. I lived watching it. The thing that I recommend to people, whether they are athletes or business people or just watching, y'all need to hang out with more different people.
Great point.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you learn? You spend time with people. If I want to learn more about contemporary art, like, you need to hang out with Rasheed Johnson. That's like, what do you like? And obviously I have access, but like, whatever it is, like, go hang out with people that know.
Yes.
Go hang out with people that know.
Great point.
Like, when I want to know what's going on with stuff, I spend time with people that know, and I try to stay curious, and you try to mix up your circle. Here's another one. I'm very focused on giving people flowers. Like, one of the things that we do not do well, out of some old school pride, you saying someone's doing good doesn't make you lesser than.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you're a glazer.
Yes.
It means you're a nice human being giving flowers to somebody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you people.
Yes.
So especially for someone like you, somebody out there with status, all the athletes that watch this, you DM someone you admire and be like, yo, I with your shit. Doesn't make you lesser than. What it normally leads to, especially if you're an athlete, athletes need to know this. I'm 49 years old. I still feel 13 when I watch
Great point.
This Knicks series. Like, if Josh Hart walked in here right now, I'd faint. Even though I know Josh like that. I'm in that place right now. Every athlete can reach out to any of the biggest business people in the world, scientists, cooks, actors, and just be like, you watch a Netflix movie and you like that and you want to learn more about Hollywood and acting, DM the actor and be like, yo, your performance was fresh. Like, people don't get it. Like, DMs are not just there to slide in and have some, late call booty action. It's there to business develop. It's there to learn. Like, we have the access we have to people today is insanity.
Yes.
Like, nothing makes me happier than to randomly DM somebody and be like, bro, that was a good game. Like, good keep moving. People are happy to get compliments. It's a nice gesture. So what do I think? Expanding circles.
I mean, my OG, the reputation that I have as an OG has partly been built off DM because a lot of these guys around the league, they don't know me personally, but they can DM me. I've had so many young guys in the NBA shoot me a DM and just ask me questions on how to deal with certain things and just life, basketball, business, so many different things.
Makes so much sense.
That has been huge. I want to ask you about the Knicks.
Please.
Right now.
Yeah.
This is a great time for you guys, great time for the organization, great time for the city of New York.
We almost burned down the city after a second round victory.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, outside. I mean, what's talk to me? How you guys feeling right now? How's the city feeling? What's going on? Why is it such a big deal right now?
What's so fun is to talk to you
haven't
about
won
this.
A championship
like
yet.
when I told my son yesterday that I was coming to do this podcast with you, he's 12. He's like, tell him he's a bitch.
Because I picked the other team to go against the Knicks?
No, not even that. Because my son's real educated like that. He knows you're an all-time Miami Heat, and we have to hate you.
Yes, this is true.
This is how I built him.
This is true.
And he's part of that generation that talked. I was like,
my son's generation too. Yeah.
He's gonna punch you in his mouth when he sees you now, Xander. You know this because you were here winning championships, and you know what's been going on in New York for the last 25 years. The Knicks, I got a great way to explain this to everybody. When I was 15, I was driving right now. When I was 17, the number one, this is pre-internet, the number one thing diehard sports fans loved in the New York tri-state area back in the day, pre-internet, was Mike and the Mad Dog on Drive Time Radio. That was the biggest show. Every show down here that's big, all of it came from Mike and the Mad Dog. In the 80s, Mike and the Mad Dog was the first, WFAN was the first 24-hour sports station in the world. Mike and the Mad Dog was the number one show. Mike Francesa and Mad Dog Chris Russo, who's on it, right? They were everything to us. Look at, you see him, right? You see my goosebumps?
I can see your
They
goosebumps.
were everything to me. Like, I would sit in my parents' car, my mom's car, after school to listen to them. I don't know why I didn't figure out to get a radio in the house, but one day I don't remember, maybe 90, I'll tell you actually now I remember. The Knicks beat the Bulls in a second round playoff game, I think in 91, in game one, Ewing went off. The Bulls had just won their first title. We thought we were gonna lose 4-0. And we stole game one. And it was just like, next day in school was a party. And Mike Francesa said something that I, to this day, have never forgotten. He said, New York. He goes, we got the Giants. We got the New York Yankees. We got the New York Giants. He goes, but let there be no confusion. New York is a Knicks town. And it caught me. And then the Knicks had that whole 92, 93, and 94 was the summer of everything. When KD and Kyrie went to Brooklyn, and we got Randall. And I remember nobody gave a about what Brooklyn was doing. And Knicks got into the playoffs and the city lost its mind. I remembered that story of 15, 20 years ago.
Yes.
Mike Francesa saying, New York is a Knicks town, not a Yankees town, not a Giants town. And I think what America's seeing right now
Yes.
is that New York is a Knicks town.
Fucking right.
Madison Square Garden's in the middle of the city, basketball mecca of the world. And I feel as though Knicks fans are just so hungry. It's been such a long drought. And we want it so bad. And this team is also a Knicks throwback team. Carmelo's teams, Amari, JR, we loved them. There was Shump. We loved those teams. You guys battled with them a little bit. But this team,
This is a gritty,
this is a different, like
gritty,
Brunson
tough,
is like, you know,
grimy.
yeah, Josh
Yes, I
Hart, are
agree.
you kidding
Yes,
me?
I agree.
Yeah, and so this is the right kind of team. My generation is now in their late 40s, early 50s. Like I play pickup basketball still to this day. Like I'm Anthony Mason. I foul on I foul on
RIP,
every
man.
RIP
Real
is
one.
right. Like I
OG.
foul on every play. No easy baskets. Stefan, you know, like it's and that's this team, and we're besides ourselves. And to knock out Boston.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know how much New York hates Boston when it comes to
I
sports?
think everybody hates Boston.
Makes sense. They've won so much. They've earned it. They've earned it. Kudos to them.
They have.
And now, with all this, to make the Eastern Conference Finals, to make it Indiana, besides y'all and Chicago, but Chicago's been also irrelevant for so long.
Yes.
That's Miami, Chicago, Boston, and Indiana for Knicks fans is that kind of like
Reggie
core
Miller.
four. And then you look on what gets crazy is on the other side, if God willing, God bless, they can get to the finals, you're either going to have OKC, which is going to have their former center that we loved, Hartenstein,
Yes.
or
Yes.
if it's Minnesota, I mean,
Julius Randle. You got to deal with Julius, a different
and
Julius.
DiVincenzo, who
Yes.
I mean, when I tell you, our hearts got ripped out
Yes.
in that trade, even though we were thrilled and knew what we were getting with Cat. New
Dante is tough. as
New York is out of its mind right now. It's on full tilt. You could feel it everywhere. And these next couple of weeks are just going to be crazy. And I'm happy for the NBA because when the Knicks are cooking, it's good for basketball.
Is Brunson the top 5, Nick?
I still think, look, it's Willis, Walt, Ewing, Bernard. He's not there yet. And then you got the role players, DeButcher and Bill Bradley and Phil Jackson.
Melo, 7-time All-Star.
And then you got and then you got that last group, the Melo, crew, and Melo's right there. I think Brunson getting to the finals will do it.
If he wins it, he's a top.
If he wins a title?
If he wins a title in New York, he's top 5, Nick.
Yes, 100%, 100%. I was with Kat personally. I said, Kat, you have no idea what happens in this town if you win a championship.
Oh.
I'm like, Victor Cruz walks around like he's a
This is true.
god.
This is true.
Like he was a very good player. John Starks
This is
walks
true.
around New York as a god.
This is true.
And he didn't win a title. We just got to the finals. If this crew wins, there's something different about it. Look, New York is easily, arguably, the most important city in the entire world. Do you know how crazy that is? In the entire world. It may be, I would argue definitely is, but I'm empathetic to people that want to talk about Shanghai or some other places. I have no idea. London, fine, but like New York City is the most important city in the world. You win a championship for the sport that is most in the blood of that city, that has not won one in 50 years. That's statue. And I don't mean like the statues they do in sports. I'm talking like a actual monument that has nothing to do with at Madison Square Garden. I think the city will burn to the ground if the Knicks can win this.
Wow. It's almost hard to even go to the Jets after that. But we got to go. I got to ask you about the Jets
let's
because
talk about it.
I'm a fan. I had a chance to go to the Chicago Bears training camp. I had a chance to watch Justin Fields up close in practice, on the practice field, in the QB meetings, locked in with the coaching staff. I got a chance to go behind the scenes and watch the kid. And I believe that the ceiling for Justin Fields, his best version, not too many quarterbacks can go to that ceiling. What he can do athletically with his legs, his arm strength, yeah, you got to work on accuracy. But you also talk about a kid who had 3 or 4 different QB coaches since he's been in the league. So I really think that you got something there, just from me to you. And I can't give a shit about the Jets. I can't stand them.
I get it.
But I got to be honest. I think you got something to work with Justin Fields to start.
It's funny you bring that up. So I love the Knicks like you can't imagine. I would give up a Knicks championship for life if you promised me a Jets Super Bowl.
Oh,
it's like that.
Really?
Yep. Jets won, Knicks
hold
too.
on. Now we get somewhere. Now we get somewhere. I wouldn't have guessed that. It's where we just came off that Knicks conversation.
I love the Knicks like in a way that's probably inappropriate. But that's why I'm trying to tell you the Jets is pure religion. It's my religion.
Wow.
So I've not missed a play of a Jets game since 1982. I've watched every single play.
That's a lot of pain.
So
it's
a lot of pain. So the thing with Fields, my Jets thread is like, it's very educated. It's very deep. It's very emotional. My crew we're locked in. We all prayed to God for Justin Fields because it was the only one situation this offseason that has the potential to be what you're talking about. Don't forget, we also drafted Darnold. And and Geno.
Shout out Geno, South Florida.
And by the way, your third string quarterback this year, like I'm still still not done with Zach Wilson either.
You do got Zach down here.
So Justin was the only upside ticket play. Obviously, him and Garrett Wilson have real chemistry.
Yes.
They're real boys.
Yes.
They went out and got the center from the Packers who went to Ohio State as well.
Wow.
They're like building that whole crew. Back to being who I am as a Jets fan, know a lot about Aaron Glenn. My brother is an NFL agent. We rep Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem, Badgley, Shane. We rep 7, Jalen Reeves maybe. We've repped 7 Lions in the last several years. We have an incredible read on Aaron Glenn, the coach.
Yes.
He's a real man.
He was a hell of a DB back in the day.
He was a hell of a DB.
Yes.
Only Joey Galloway got him. Joey Galloway was a beast.
Now Joey Galloway.
We know who Aaron is as a coach. I believe there's a shot with this. And I'm glad that our expectations are down. We still have crazy young talent. Sauce, Garrett, Brees, Jermaine Johnson. We got McDonald. We got pieces. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm optimistic. This almost feels like the year they'll make the playoffs in a world where no one thinks they will.
Yeah.
But Justin will have to take the jump for that to be true.
I believe he will. We're in the middle. We're in the middle of the Subway Series. So, Yankees or Mets.
I grew up a huge Yankee fan, but then they won in '96, and like I told you, I once the championship comes, it changes my whole paradigm shift with my fandom. So, I actually, because my son has a younger cousin and an older cousin that's 6 months younger and older boys, when he was born, I decided to raise him a Mets fan because I knew they were going to be diehard Met fans, and I'd kind of scratched my Yankee itch. So these days, I root for the Mets through the proxy of Xander. But you know what's crazy about fandom? Last night when the Yankees won the rubber game of the series,
Yes.
I'd be lying to you if I wasn't happy. Because deep down, I'm still a Yankees fan.
Really?
Yeah. But my son, I really want it for him. I'm happy that the Mets The Mets franchise is heading in the right direction.
Yes, they are. They are. They are. The Soto pickup. I mean, Pete Alonso.
They just have
Go
ownership.
Gators.
It's ownership.
Lindor. Yeah.
Baseball's ownership because it's business. It's not like the NBA and the NFL where there's caps and triggers. Actually, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Do you believe we actually are entering the era of parity in the NBA, or do you think that this is a potential short little blimp before we'll see super teams kind of run the next decade or two?
No, I think we enter an era of parity.
Why?
I really do think we enter an era of parity. I think the talent is getting better. I think it's getting harder to put together super teams.
Because of the double.
Yeah, because of the money and the taxes and all these different things. Right now, we were just on ESPN the other day, and we were talking about putting together super teams, and the conversation was talking about where Giannis would go. And a lot of people were saying a lot of these different teams, and Brian Windhurst, who's amazing with those different things, Wendy, we had a conversation about certain teams having 3 players. And back in the day when I was able to do it with the Miami Heat, and we had LeBron, Chris Bosh, and D-Wade, and they were still able to find a way to sign myself and different guys. Those situations aren't happening anymore. It's just not within the rules and different things like that. It's just not capable of happening. Now, if you're able to get 2 or 3 superstars, you're going to go into the luxury tax so high that is it going to be worth it? You got to win in the next couple of years, or if you don't, it's not worth it. And then obviously, then you got to figure out a way to put 10 to 11 role players willing to make minimum money around 3 max guys, which we were able to do that when I was playing. None of these guys are willing to do that anymore. Everybody wants to make their money. So I just don't think financially you can do it anymore to put together a super team. So, but I think the parity is really growing because as we see the shift of the older guys, we see the shift of the LeBron Jameses, we see the shift of the Stephen Currys, we see the shift of, these different guys, and then we see the small market teams like the SGAs and the OKC. We start to see the Minnesotas and the different teams like that rise. So now we're seeing that shift of the Lakers and, unfortunately, the Heat, what we call large market teams are declining just a little, and then we're seeing the growth of the smaller market teams, and these are the teams that are going to the finals right now. We're looking at a team where obviously the Knicks are a huge market team, but we talk about Indiana could possibly be in the finals. OKC and Minnesota, one of those teams are going to be in the finals. Those are small market teams compared to the big market and large market teams that we've seen in the past.
It's an incredibly exciting time for NBA fans because I was very affected as a fan by the super teams. It was a wrap before the season started.
Yes.
It was really hard to get going,
Yes.
It was, you just kind of were like, what do we do with this?
It's really a roll of the dice. If you look at what Phoenix did, they were able to put the 3 superstars together, but now you're rolling the dice with what you put around it. And if it doesn't work, now you pigeonhole and you stuck and now I got to move somebody. Who can I move?
And you know what else has been interesting? You know this way better than I do, so I'm asking you more than saying. But as the game has evolved, the other thing that's been interesting is the role players' impact is fascinating with the 3-ball.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like I think about the players that scare me.
Yes.
Like when I was a kid, when Hauser came in,
Yes.
I'd be like, that dude, I don't give a shit.
Yes.
Now I'm like, this might hit 4 threes in 2 seconds and this might fuck us up.
Yes.
The 3-ball and a lot of these role players, it feels different.
So I'll tell you this about the role players. The stars, they get to shoot whatever shot they want. If you're a role player, most likely your role is to defend, rebound, or shoot threes. One of the two. The stars, they say there's no mid-range in the NBA. That's a lie. KD can shoot mid-range. LeBron can shoot mid-range. Luka can shoot mid-range. Your role-playing ass, you better shoot them threes, and you better defend.
That's right.
So that is the role of most role players in the NBA. Most role players are 3 and D guys. Unless you're a lob big where you create that vertical spacing. When you get a lob, you know what lobs do? They make everybody come in. Now you create more spacing for the guys that shoot threes. So everything is predicated on getting guys open shots. And most of the time, your role players, for you to get minutes, you're going to have to be a floor spacer.
Do you think that a rule change is needed? Or do you believe the thesis people have that ratings are down because every team looks the same with the 3-ball? And if you do you think a rule change? Like my brother said something in our basketball thread when everyone was talking about this late winter last year, early this year, and he threw out something that got a lot of us cooking. He was like, what if they limited the number of threes that you could actually take? And it was really got us into a real deep philosophical combo. But, what's your take on that? Do you think the rating softening was that, or you think it was something else? And then number 2, if you do think there's a little bit to that.
I think a little bit of that and also a little bit of guys just not playing.
Yeah.
You know, when you show up or when you cut your TV on, you're expecting to see these superstars. And a lot of times, a lot of these guys are sitting out different games. And I think fans are getting tired of that. You know, you have a responsibility and accountability, not just for the fans, but for your team first.
Yep.
You know, we depend on you. You're our guy. We need you. And then secondly, the fans show up to see you. So I think that's part of it. And I think, yes, I think everybody doesn't have the personnel to shoot 30, 40 threes, but I think for whatever reason, a lot of teams are shooting 30 and 40 threes. One, I know, is just to keep up with other teams.
Yeah.
You have teams that are built around the three-point line. I mean, the Boston Celtics broke the single-season record for shooting threes. So if they're making threes and you're making twos, your ass going to get beat by 40.
That's right.
So now that allows you to start forcing up threes. But what I will say is habits. I think you just need to start building those habits. That needs to start in the summer. That needs to go through training camp. You need to be building those habits throughout the season. You can't wait till you get to the playoffs to say, okay, now we're going to start shooting 35, 40 threes. When the regular season, you've been shooting around 30. Now you want to ramp it up for the playoffs because you want to try to keep up with this team. No, these are the habits that you've built over the years. Another thing I see is we're going back to the two bigs. You know, we got away from that for a while. We got away from the two bigs for a while, and that kind of hurt my career because once we got away from the two bigs, we were just playing a center, and your power forward was really just a small forward that you put at power forward.
100%.
So we got away from that. So now we're seeing the trend of the two bigs come back now.
It's super meaningful for the Knicks right now.
Yeah,
when Mitch and Cat are both out there,
man, listen,
that's
Mitchell,
a problem
you
for
got to give
people.
Mitchell Robinson his credit where credit's due, man. I mean, make a free throw or not, he has impacted the game of basketball and is playing winning basketball.
In a real way.
He is playing winning basketball.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously is going to probably have a very interesting offseason at the free throw line, and he's never been a good free throw shooter. But if he can rev it up just a little, his impact is enormous.
Yes. And I'm a huge fan of Hartenstein. Crazy that you brought that up because I was a huge fan of his.
Awesome.
And I knew that was going to be a tough loss for you guys because that's a guy.
I knew it 10 games into him being a Knick. I'm like, we don't have him locked up. He's going to have a good year. You could tell.
Yes.
You could tell 2 seconds in that he could play.
Yes. I have one.
He's a great kid, too.
I have a question, an interesting question, because this is something that I kind of feel the same way. Your take on vacations. I struggle. My vacation thing is weird because I want to and I need them.
Yeah. Vacations first.
Tell me how you feel about the vacations.
So at VaynerMedia, my advertising agency, VaynerX, the advertising agency holding company, I have 2,500 employees all over the globe. First answer to you on what do I think about vacations? I love them, but I can only take them when the rest of the world is shut down. The only time I can actually take vacations is the last couple weeks of August when I know everybody else ain't working. Thanksgiving week. You know, now it's like that Tuesday everyone starts to check out.
Yes.
And Christmas and New Year's. I can't even take a vacation during normal times because it's not a vacation, it becomes stress because when I come back, I'm just so backed the up. I'm stressed the whole time on vacation. I'm like, oh, this isn't fun. Because like that's not my life. I'm number one. Vacations are great if you're not the number one.
Yes.
Vacations are awesome if you're not the number one. If I was the number 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 at a company, I'd be on vacation my whole life.
That's what I'm saying. So how do we deal with that?
I think you need to maximize when the world's shut down. In fact, I've never used to do this, but now I'm like, it. Columbus Day, Martin Luther King Day. Like as I get into the next half century of my life and I want to spend more time with my family, not less, I'm like, it. Like I used to work every MLK Day. I'd quickly go to the Knicks game at 1:00 and take my boy. But like St. Patrick, like everything, like any federal holiday I worked. Now Juneteenth, like I'm like about everything. I'm like, let's make up some more shit. Like as long as everybody else is off, I'm in. So I think for you, if you're on that same kick as I am, you need to take vacations always. Now you have you have obligations. I don't know all your obligations, but
I can make my own schedule.
okay.
I can play with things.
You need to, I promise you'll enjoy them if everyone else is vacationing. Like for example, this Friday is the Friday before, as we're filming this, I don't know when you're putting this up, but we have Memorial Day coming up. On the flight down here, I was like, damn, because I got work Friday, even Saturday, unfortunately. But I was like, damn, I fucked this up. This would have been an opportunity. I could have easily been done Thursday night, and I could have went till Tuesday morning and could have gotten like, I'm still not trained to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
But I would have been chill because I know nobody's working from Thursday night until Tuesday morning in America, and that makes me relaxed. And I think the reason you probably don't like vacations is you're not relaxed.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not relaxed. So that's not a vacation if
Correct.
I'm not relaxed.
Same. I think you need to take vacations when the world is shut down. 4-day President's Day weekend, take that vacation. Like, you've got to map it to the world. That's the only thing that works for me.
Hear that, Sylvester? Okay, just making sure Sylvester heard that.
Smart.
There was a couple other interesting things that I read, because obviously I do my research, and you like garage sales.
Yes.
You like garage sales. Can we talk about the garage? Because you said earlier you bought your first car from a garage sale. And even now, to this day, you got to this point in your life, you still like garage sales.
Let me tell you why. I know a bunch of kids are listening right now, and I'm talking about, like, here's what you should do for angel investing. Make sure you like the jockey and the horse, $25,000. Listening right now is like, F you, Gary V. I got $17.09 in Wells Fargo. What the F you want from me? So, because I lived that life, I'm like, I'm never, ever gonna leave that kid behind. So I'm always gonna make content, always talk to that kid. But I'm not gonna coddle that kid either. If you're watching right now and you're like, y'all, I only got $100, I'm like, you. I only had $100 too.
Great point.
Let me tell you what to do. If you have $100, get your ass to the dollar store, get your ass to Craigslist, get your ass to the Goodwill and the Salvation Army, go to the flea market, go to the garage sales, because the most guaranteed way on earth that I know to make $100 go to 1,000 and 1,000 to go to 10,000 is to go to yard sales, flea markets, all these, Goodwill stores, buy for $1 or $2 and sell them on eBay for 20. It is 100%. It's real. You can do it with t-shirts. You can do it with stuffed animals. You can do it with video games, toys, and all sorts of random shit. Literally, if you don't believe me, right now, open up your Instagram, go into the search, type in yard sale finds, F-I-N-D-S, yard sale finds, Goodwill finds, garage sale finds, and it is scary to me how real this is. Now, every time I put out this content, someone's like, will leave a comment and say, you, Gary V, it costs $28 in gas to go to these places. I'm like, no shit, dick. I know the business expenses happen, but I'm gonna say it again. When you buy 30 items at $1 each, and they're all 100, and you make $300, you buy 30 items at $1, and they're all $10, $20, and you make $300, $400, $500 with eBay fees. People are like, what about the shipping? You charge the client for shipping. That's how you sell on eBay. What about the eBay fees? You pay the fees. What about the gas? You pay the gas. And you're still left with $200, $300 on the weekend. Instead of the people that complain and don't want to do, they spend $200 on a weekend buying $34 margaritas.
That's exactly what it is.
Instead of waking up at 7 a.m. and going to make $300. That's just what it is. And let me talk to all the guys out there for a minute, because I really get a lot of DMs from them. All of you right now are stressed and looking for get-rich-quick schemes in your 20s to try to impress the girls. Here's the good news. Put your head down in your 20s and make paper. Those girls that you want, they only want you at 35 to begin with anyway. Even if you got paper at 22, you're not even in the game anyway. So you're just better off getting your skills right, getting your paper right. And what the 22-year-old dude doesn't know about 35 is at 35, you feel the exact same way as you do at 22.
Say it again.
Men stay boys. For all you 23-year-olds right now, let me promise you, when you're 32, you're gonna feel the same exact way. You're gonna have all the same feelings, all the same drive. You're gonna be nice and fine. People are just scared to work. Listen, as much as I hated you as a Knicks fan, the admiration was so off the charts because and you were young as my guys who were doing it were getting old. As Oak and Mace were getting old,
man.
you were
Respect.
young, and I was like, they got one of those guys.
Yeah.
And I knew from day,
Yeah.
and you know what it is, and you see it now, right? That's what I want these guys who are listening to do.
Yes, sir.
Like, it's work. If back to sports, if all you kids realized how many players all these NBA guys grew up with that were dramatically more talented than them, that never made the league, it was work. Take away the random injury. It was this,
Yes.
it was mental, and then it was actually putting in work. It's like everybody wants to use the word luck, oh, you got lucky. Luck is the weapon of choice of the lazy.
Ooh, luck is the weapon of choice of lazy.
You understand?
Oh, we got anybody writing this shit down? We got a lot of isms on here.
Oh,
today.
bro, if I had,
write this down,
my
man.
guy, if I had any musical talent, I'd be Drake. I've got the bars. I just don't have
Write
any
this down
music
back there.
skills.
We got isms, man.
But real talk, like if the kids especially, but when I see kids, I want to make sure I define this. I'm talking to the 20, 30, and 40-year-old young men and women that are listening right now. If you're 36, you're a child. I know you don't believe it because society's got you twisted, and I know you don't believe it because 36-year-olds see like Timothy Chalamet, like, well, he made it before he was 36. I'm like, yes, Timothy made it before he was 36, but there's 8 billion people on Earth. Like, you're still a child. Yes. People always want to compare to Zucks or like the Kardashians. Why are we always comparing to the 0.0000001? Like
compared to the Zucks.
I don't understand. Like that'd be like you want to be decent at basketball, but you compare yourself to LeBron, so you don't play basketball. What the fuck are we doing out here? So yes, I understand other people made billions in their 20s and 30s. Talent, circumstance, serendipity, that has nothing to do with your life. And more importantly, nobody's success in life is taken from yours. Not one person. This isn't actual sports where there's a winner and loser.
Yes.
This is life. Everyone could lose, everyone can win. And so I'm just trying to get people's feelings right.
But the fact that you said that, and this, I want to end with this because me and you agree, and we see things so the same way. There's a winner and a loser, and you got to get so sick and tired of losing that winning is the only option. You don't believe in giving away wins to your kids, to your brother. You don't give a who it is. You don't believe in just letting them win and just building the habits of letting them think that they won or you giving away a win. Like, because I've been playing. Me and my son played this weekend. It's hot as outside. We played ball and he popped my chain and all that. But I'm not letting him win. He's 14 years old. I'm 44 years old. He got mad. He ran in the house and said it ain't fair. We didn't talk till the next day. But I'm not letting him win. And I follow some of the stuff that you talked about with your brother and your kids and different things like that.
So my son has game. Like it's funny, I love basketball, but I grew up in the 80s. We played a lot more football and baseball. And you know this, in the early 80s, everything was about being a big man. Yes. So none of us little guys learned skills.
Yes.
I was trying to be Patrick Ewing at 5'0".
Just throw your ass in the paint.
You know, it was all about big men when I was growing up. Now all these kids got Steph Curry'd out. They got handled. I mean, I go to these AAU games. went to this weekend, my son played 3 AAU games. These little kids that suck are good. You know what I mean? Like, suck kids are good now. I was like, this kid 30 years ago wouldn't even been on the court, but now with a little handle and a clean jumper, it's crazy. Anyway, my mom's 70th birthday just happened with the Bahamas, and my son's talking all sorts of shit to my brother, because I'm 11 years older than my brother, so we're like kind of these 3 generations, and my brother's much better at basketball than I am because I built him, and I've really built my son. And my son's gonna kill my brother in a couple years, but he's still too little right now. My brother put a whipping on him. He beat him 11-2. And like, Xander can really score because they can really, the 2 was earned. But Xander tried to come with that. I don't know if you know these young kids, they don't play rebounds on one-on-one. On one-on-one basketball, they think if you miss the shot, the other guy gets the possession. Me and my brother from the OG era. So my brother was just doing big man-in on him, and he was trying to complain about it. I was like, I wasn't hearing it. Look, let me take this subject matter deep. I believe the number one mistake a father or mother can do for a daughter and son in competition is let them win. And when I say number one, I mean number one. There is a very specific reason that society is now littered with children contemplating suicide, kids anxious, every kid talking about depression. We have over-coddled the out of a generation. We made these kids soft.
Say that again.
We gave them 8th place trophies. We stopped punishing them. We stopped grounding them. We definitely don't hit them. You and I grew up in an era, our friends, I got my face smacked. My boy, Man, I had black friends. The switch from the
Yeah,
real.
yeah. Go pick that switch. You go pick the switch that you're gonna get your ass whooped with. And you try to pick the thin one, and you know the skinny ones hurt your ass worse. You had to learn that the hard way.
I had a belt hanging in my house growing up. Immigrant. Like, these kids are soft. It's not their fault. It's the parents' fault. And if you let your kid beat you, our kid. This is a good story. This happened Monday, 2 days ago. Our team is losing 43-9. They walked into the wrong team.
Damn.
And my son got clamped up, 2 guards at the top. He's got all sorts of, but his team's soft. And his team's not that good. And he lost his second best player, hurt his thumb. So they were like done. They're getting killed. And one of the parents on my kids' teams during a timeout's like, good job, guys, right? I was like, literally, this loud. I was like, definitely not a good job. You guys are getting dismantled and embarrassed. Get your up. And all the
Sound like
parents,
me.
and it's funny, if I did that 3 years ago, I would have gotten scorned the out of the gym. But what I noticed was 50% of the parents were happy as with me. And that tells me we're moving in the right direction. 3 years ago in a baseball game, parents got mad at me for keeping it real. Now parents in New York City are starting to get it. We over-coddled these kids. Parents should never let a kid win. When you teach a kid that winning and losing doesn't matter, it teaches indifference. Indifference means nothing matters. Nothing matters leads to my life doesn't matter. I do not understand how people do not see what is going on. This is dangerous. We f the kids up. Stop coddling these kids. Kids need consequences. Kids need ramifications. Kids need boundaries. Kids need to man up, boys and girls. And kids need to skin their knee. They need to fight. They need to lose. So we're losing 43-8. And the greatest thing that I've seen my son do in his professional life happened just 2 days ago, and I want to give him flowers.
Talk to me.
We're down 43-8. He's bringing the ball up, and he whizzes one over his center's head, trying to break the press, and the coach benches him because he's frustrated. I watched that man start walking to the bench and just start crying. Sits down, he's crying. You cannot understand how proud I am.
Yeah.
That gives a
Yes, he cares.
for a parent to tell kids not to cry and say the worst. This is the number one most loser up a parent can say to a kid. It's just a game.
Oh, no.
Let me tell you from
No,
the
sir.
seat of a winner, nothing in my life has ever been just a game. Nothing is just a game. And these games matter to us more than breathing themselves. If you are lucky enough to have a child that cries when they lose, you should look up to God, kiss him or her,
Yes.
thank them for the luck of the DNA game, and you should tell your child to cry. And you are very fortunate to have someone who is a competitor and who wants to do it. Yes. And I watched this man cry on the bench, and it was the single proudest moment of my life.
I agree 1,000%.
And that happened 48 hours ago. And I've been gliding since. Because you know what happened? He got to play 2 games the next day. They played a team the next day. And he played like
Cooked.
ass,
Oh, okay.
which stunned me. He dropped 28 in the first half of the game before that.
Okay.
He can play. Didn't play well. They lost to an inferior team. Now he's really frustrated. But what he did was he led. So he listened to dad and coach. And then they played a second game, a better team, the team that beat the ass of the team they just lost to. They're down 10 at the half. And he came out in the second half and cooked. And they won. And he had a full big boy moment.
You watched it all right in front of your eyes.
And that's how kids learn, not mommy and daddy are gonna protect you, and then you send them into the big bad real world at 22 years old, and they're straight pussies crying about everything at their job and society, blaming Trump and Biden, blaming mommy and daddy, blaming the bosses, and walking around being straight pussies.
Yeah.
Period.
No grit.
Clip
No
that.
grit. No grit. No, I agree. I mean, we had, and I can't remember, and I don't want to misquote, but we had somebody come speak to us with the Miami Heat, and the one thing they said, the biggest difference between this generation and the kids that make it and the kids that don't is just the grit. They haven't developed any grit.
It's grit.
You haven't developed any grit.
And again, I'm not trying to be cool on this show. I'm scared for kids that are depressed. This is about the kids.
Yes.
This isn't about being cool. This is not about being macho. I'm not trying to be tough. I'm trying to tell you how to get your kids off these pills. Here's how. Let them lose. Let them fight. Let them cry. We put these kids in bubbles. They're zoo animals. Do you know what happens to zoo animals when you put them back in the wild? That zebra gets killed in 1 second.
Yeah, they can't
We
survive.
made zoo animals for 20 years. Get the out of the way. You don't need to know where your kid is every second. Do you know about this legend? Do you know there's 23-year-olds that walk around Earth that their parents know exactly where they are because they're connected on the phone?
Yeah, I don't do
They're
that.
23 years old.
Yeah, I don't do that.
The do you think you're telling that 23-year-old? You're telling them that you don't trust them to be a man,
Yeah.
to be a woman. You can go to Afghanistan and shoot people at 18, and mommy and daddy's got the phone tag at you at 22. We got to wake the up.
I agree. I'm going to shoot off a couple rapid fire questions real quick here. Is AI content creation future or fad?
Future.
Future? Cool. Why you say that?
It's an inevitable. Technology is undefeated, my guy. It's a now. It's not even a future. The people that are winning right this nanosecond are using AI creative technology right now, this second.
A couple stock companies that I invested in were based on a lot of AI and stuff like that. I do my research, man. I don't know if I got a gut like yours, but
Listen,
my motherfucking gut been right a couple times. I done
good
hit
for
a
you,
couple.
brother. Good for you.
Thank you. One more. We've seen the internet wave, the smartphone
Go to the one before
wave.
that.
You want the one before that?
Hell yes.
Is
Go
college a scam? I was gonna skip that one. I ain't because I figured you had some. Is college a scam?
For 50% of kids, it is.
And why do you say that? Can you explain?
Yep. If you're an entrepreneur or you're creative and you go to college and collect debt, I'm being very specific here.
So most likely you're not an athlete because we get scholarships.
Correct.
So
I'm going nice and slow. If you are an entrepreneur or you're creative, and you collect debt because mommy and daddy are not going to pay for it, you cannot go to college. If mommy and daddy pay for it, by the way, mommy and daddy wanted me to go to, I was fighting it. I was like, I don't want to go, but I grew up in that era where they were embarrassed if I didn't go. I was like, you gonna pay for it? I had 4 years of, you know what I did in college? I played CeeLo, I played spades.
CeeLo, 4, 5, 6.
I played Madden, and I had a 4-year vacation because I knew I was gonna work the rest of my life.
Wow.
But if mommy and daddy are not gonna pay for it, or scholarship, and if you're gonna be a lawyer, a doctor, if you're capable of being great at school and that will set you up, those are different. But if you are creative, an entrepreneur, and you're gonna collect debt, it is the great scam of our society. So it's very specific. It's not a universal thing. That's that. And I'll tell you why. Because I have 100,000 DMs to prove it of kids that are depressed, that they have $113,000 in debt at high interest, and nothing they did in college led to anything in real life. It changed. It's not 1968.
No, I will agree with that. I saw a lot of kids that were head of the class, and for whatever reason, they didn't go into the job field that they thought they were going to go into.
Because
somebody knew somebody that gave somebody else an opportunity.
The jobs aren't there on the other. Bro, I'm the hottest advertising agency in the world. We don't even require college. I got 3,000 employees. I can't tell you a single. Stefan worked for me for years. If he told me I'd give you $50 million right now to tell me where I went to college, I'm like, I don't know. You met D-Rock somewhere. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I agree.
What is a piece of paper from Michigan going to mean to me?
I agree. And the last one, we've seen the internet wave, the smartphone wave, the social media wave. What's the next big thing in tech?
It's clearly AI, and it's
AI.
big.
Yeah.
It's right on there with those. And this one's big.
Big.
I know we've been here for a minute, so let me wrap up with this. 1 hour a day on ChatGPT and Google, YouTube, if you learn that way, AI research for every single human listening, literally the same way you think about the gym, 1 hour a day on Twitter, however you research about AI, download the apps, play the apps. You can't read about push-ups. I can't read about how to work on my crossover.
Yes,
You gotta go
you
and
gotta
do
do
it.
it.
You gotta download the AI app, you gotta use it. You gotta download the AI app, you gotta use it. It is oxygen to be a human being professionally and personally in the next decade.
Wow. And the OG advice, the one you said about being lazy.
Yep.
What was that again?
Which one?
You said
Oh, you mean the
ism about
luck?
being lazy. Luck.
Luck is the weapon of choice of the lazy.
Luck. OG advice today, luck is the weapon of choice of the lazy. I love that one. We gonna end it on that, man. So appreciate you, Gary,
Thank you,
man. I
my
know
guy.
you're a busy man, but
Appreciate
thank you for
it.
coming in and taking your time.
course.
And I learned a lot today. Like I said, there's not too many times people sit in front of me, so I appreciate you.
Thank you, my guy.
brother.
Appreciate it, legend.